Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to take that stack of articles, research, and philosophical texts you sent us and really distill them into the core insights.
And today's deep dive is fascinating. It's all about a challenge that's, well, as old as time, but feels incredibly modern. Learning how to listen.
Right, and we don't just mean listening with your ears.
Not at all. The whole idea we're unpacking is that the answers we're all searching for, the clarity we crave, it isn't hidden.
It's being presented to us every single day.
Exactly. By our environment, our relationships, our own experiences. The real bottleneck isn't the information itself, it's our ability to actually receive it.
So this is about listening with your whole being. It's about cultivating a kind of internal stillness. We're going to dig into principles from, everything from ancient philosophy to modern management theory.
And these sources show us what's blocking that reception and how we can start to tune in to the subtle guidance that life is always offering us about connection, about purpose, about freedom.
Our mission today is to get past the surface level advice and really understand the ways we sabotage ourselves, the ways we make ourselves deaf to these lessons.
So let's jump right in with what the sources identify as the biggest roadblock of all.
And they define it so perfectly. The noise of our own importance. That's an immediate gut check, isn't it?
It really is.
The reason we miss the answers is because that internal story we're telling ourselves is just too loud, too insistent.
And too self-centered. We walk around completely convinced that whatever we're dealing with, our job, our relationship issues, that deadline is uniquely massive.
We're the star of our own cinematic universe of problems.
Precisely. And the sources point out this isn't just exhausting, it is the exhaustion. I love that line from Michael Dubuque.
Oh, it's so good.
He says most stress comes from overestimating the importance of our problems.
It's a huge thought because it reframes stress as, well, a choice of perspective.
It is. If you believe you're fighting some epic, one-of-a-kind battle, of course you're going to feel overwhelmed. But the second you realize, this is probably a standard human problem.
One that countless people have faced and solved.
Right. Or failed to solve. Either way, you drop that burden of unique stress.
But how do you apply that in the moment? For the listener, how do you know if you're overestimating a problem?
The sources suggest a simple test of proportion and time. Ask yourself, is this thing catastrophic to human life? Or is it just catastrophic to my current story about my life?
Will this email, this embarrassment, this fight, will it matter in a month?
A year. If the answer is probably no, then you're listening to the noise of your own inflated importance, not reality.
And that noise drowns out the simple, subtle truths the world is trying to offer us.
We just become these self-contained echo chambers. The sources gave a really sharp example of this.
The person who chooses their friends based on status.
Exactly. Based on what they can get from the relationship instead of just a genuine human connection.
They're not listening to what a friendship actually is. They're listening to their own internal anxiety about status, about being seen as important.
Precisely. The world is whispering the answer to them, You don't need to impress anyone to be loved.
But they can't hear it. They're too busy calculating the social ROI.
They're worried they'll be less than if they hang out with someone who isn't, successful by some arbitrary metric.
I do have to ask, though, isn't some of that calculation necessary? In professional life especially. Is this advice a little too idealistic?
That's a fair question. And the sources aren't arguing for being naive, they're arguing for alignment. If your entire life is built on these transactional relationships, you're guaranteeing a life of anxiety.
Because status is always shifting.
It's incredibly volatile. And that brings us right into our next section on listening in relationships, because this is where the world speaks the loudest.
Okay, let's pivot there. To authentic connection. We all feel that pressure to perform for approval, but real listening is about paying attention to the other person, not trying to manage their opinion of you.
And the example of Jamie Dungy was just perfect for this. He chose friends without any concern for status.
He was drawn to people who just looked like they needed a friend.
Yes. For no other reason than enjoying their company, he completely defied that social calculus.
He just got it.
Yeah.
He understood that a relationship built on status needs constant maintenance, constant performance.
Whereas one built on genuine enjoyment is just sustainable. It's a powerful, practical lesson.
And it connects so directly to that timeless wisdom from Dale Carnegie.
Right. His observation wasn't a trick. It wasn't manipulation.
It was a description of reality.
You can make more friends in 2 weeks by genuinely showing interest in other people than you can in 2 years trying to get them interested in you.
When you put it that way, it's so simple. It's just aligning with how relationships actually work. Stop trying to convince people you're interesting and just find them interesting.
Exactly. And the transactional wall just comes down. The world shows us this every single day.
Every real friendship you have proves it. And every strained transactional one proves the opposite.
The curriculum is being delivered daily. You just have to tune in.
And there's a really sobering final layer here, which is the lesson that mortality teaches us.
The warning to never waste an opportunity to tell someone you love them. We always think we'll have more time.
Waiter.
We put off those critical moments and we fail to listen to what mortality is screaming at us. Later is not guaranteed.
If you're putting off that conversation because the moment isn't perfect, you are not listening.
You're prioritizing the anxiety of the moment over the finality of the truth.
And that refusal to listen, it must have massive consequences, not just socially, but inside our own heads. What does it do to our personal freedom?
Well, this takes us into a darker but really essential idea, what the sources call the tyranny of not listening.
Right. From Peter Drucker. When we fail to act responsibly, the alternative isn't chaos.
No. It's tyranny, a kind of internal regimentation that's fueled by anxiety.
What does that mean, practically? How does that tyranny show up?
It's like having a hypercritical boss living inside your head 24/7.
That constant feeling that you're never doing enough.
Never hitting the mark, that any moment of rest is a failure. You become both the dictator and the victim in a regime you created.
You're setting impossible standards and then punishing yourself for not meeting them.
Exactly. And what the sources show is that real freedom comes from presence and responsibility, not from this illusion of control.
But listening, in the way we're talking about it, silencing that inner dictator, it sounds incredibly difficult.
It is. It absolutely is. And that leads us straight to Confucius, who was very clear about this.
He said all good things are difficult to achieve while bad things are easy to get.
And listening requires that difficult act of silencing our own noise, of cultivating what Josh Waitzkin calls empty space.
Which we are programmed to avoid at all costs. We fill every second with a notification, a podcast, a task.
Because that stillness can be terrifying. It forces us to confront the fact that maybe we were wrong, or that our problems aren't as important as we thought.
But that's where the real growth happens.
It's what allows us to follow that three-step progression the world is always teaching us.
The path from the ordinary to the impossible.
Exactly. Our mistake is we try to skip straight to demanding the impossible. We want the huge win right now.
But the world guides us differently. It says start by doing what's necessary.
Then do what's possible with what you have.
And suddenly you find yourself doing the impossible.
By simply attending to the necessary and the possible. Think about a huge, difficult project. The necessary step is just opening the first file. The possible is dedicating 2 focused hours to the next logical task. The impossible is that momentum that appears on day 3 when you stop fighting it and just start attending to it.
That quiet attention is listening in action.
Extraordinary things emerge from attending fully to ordinary necessities.
So if listening is this good, difficult practice, how do we actually integrate it into our busy, achievement-focused lives? What does it look like?
It's about presence. It's about prioritizing being over doing. It just means noticing when you're on autopilot, performing for some imaginary audience.
Or fighting a problem that you've made twice as big as it really is.
Yes, the analogy of the golfer on the first tee was so good.
I love that.
Yeah.
They only expect 2 things: to have fun and to focus properly on every shot.
They're not trying to force a perfect score before they've even started. They are just attending to what is right in front of them. The feel of the club, the breath.
Attention is the currency of listening.
And the world teaches us that the quality of our being matters so much more than the quantity of our frantic doing.
Which connects to the need for balance. If you're only broadcasting, you can't receive.
Right. Dan John reminds us the grind of writing has to be balanced by the joy of reading, watching, learning, the input.
If you're always producing, always grinding, you starve your ability to receive.
You become creatively and emotionally bankrupt.
And we start to confuse our identities with our jobs, which is what Anna Quindlen warned about so powerfully.
Don't ever confuse your life and your work. The second is only part of the first.
When we let our work consume us, we are willfully ignoring the world's lesson that we have inherent value, outside of our output.
And that gnawing feeling that something is missing, even when you're successful, that is the world speaking to you.
It's saying you are more than what you produce.
But you have to quiet that internal taskmaster long enough to actually hear it.
This brings us back to that powerful final idea from Confucius. No matter where you go, there you are.
The lesson is inescapable. It is your internal curriculum.
You can't escape yourself by changing jobs or partners.
The patterns just repeat until you hear them. If the same conflict keeps coming up in your relationships, that's not bad luck. That's the curriculum being offered. The world is saying, listen to the pattern.
So if listening is about feeling and presence and stillness, what is the simplest, most powerful instruction the sources give us?
It is simply this: feel more.
Feel more.
Not think more, not strategize more, not optimize more. Feel more.
That feels so counterintuitive, especially for a high-achieving audience. We are trained to think our way out of problems.
But the world speaks through the body, through somatic feedback. If you stop intellectualizing and just start feeling, you'll notice the tightness in your chest when you're performing for someone.
Versus the relaxation when you're just being authentic.
You'll feel the clarity when you're doing necessary work versus the exhaustion of fighting an overinflated problem. We make ourselves deaf by staying busy to avoid feeling our own discomfort or our joy.
The world is trying to say, I'm speaking to you through your actual physical experience, not your theories about it.
Exactly. We have to stop numbing ourselves and start listening to the evidence.
So to pull it all together, the truths the world has been speaking are actually pretty simple. Love matters more than status, presence more than performance.
And being yourself, your authentic self, is infinitely more powerful than trying to become what you think others want.
The answers have been here all along, not in some dramatic lightning strike, but in these quiet, undeniable moments.
And the promise is clarity. The world is telling you that your unique gifts are needed, but they will die with you if you're too busy listening to your own anxiety to hear what's actually being asked for.
The mind under control, not through force, but through that attentive stillness, it becomes your best friend.
Because it finally allows you to filter the signal from the noise.
That's the goal, turning the mind from an anxious dictator into a clear receiver.
So maybe this is the question to carry forward from this deep dive. What single piece of internal noise, the fear of being unremarkable, the overestimation of a problem, or the insistence on control, will you quiet today to finally share the answer you need?
The curriculum is being offered right now.